Hello, and welcome to a very special edition of the 8-Minute Demo video series. Today we have our head in the clouds with Orchestrated Cloud Application Deployment using Windows Azure, System Center, of course Opalis within System Center, and then the other product I'll be using and demonstrating is Service Manager. My name is Charles Joy. I'm a Senior Business Development Manager for Microsoft. Hello, and welcome to the cloud. We're at windows.azure.com today, and this is my portal to the Windows Azure platform. Whether you're familiar with this interface or not, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to be walking you through specific portions of it, and in fact, I'm not going to be clicking many buttons in the portal itself because this is all about automated, orchestrated cloud application deployment. So to start, this is just the home screen. We want to get off of there and go to the hosted service and storage accounts and CDN section here, and you can see I have a hosted service here that I created a while ago, and I have a couple certificates. I also have a storage account. These are prerequisites that you can walk through on the online documentation. I'm not going to go into them for this demonstration. Once you have a hosted service and storage account, you can perform the same exact thing that I've done for this demonstration. And what we're going to do here is we're actually going to deploy an Azure app into the cloud using Opalis. So first I wanted to show you the Azure Management Portal, and now I'm going to take you to a bit of the code. And on this screen we can see where I got the code. This is the Windows Azure Hello World sample that I'll be using in this demonstration. It gives you instructions, prerequisites, and things like that, especially the building and running the sample. So I'll post all these links that I reference throughout the demonstration on the blog post. But just so you know, it's out there and it's available. I didn't do anything heroic to get this going. And then I also have Microsoft Visual Web Developer 2010 Express installed as part of the overall Azure development kit. Real easy to install. Everything's really there for you to get going. I'll put the links on where to get started on the blog, as I said. I modified the Hello World a little bit with some of my own text here. You can see Hello World. This is my first time with Azure, so here are some links, and I entered some familiar links if you're familiar with my blog, YouTube, or Codeplex releases. You could do whatever you want here. I just wanted to show you that this is the code. The next process I took was to publish this package. So there are a couple options in the publish. One is to create a service package only. The other is to deploy your Windows project to Windows Azure. Now the first time you do this, it might be a good idea to actually take a look at that. But for this, we're going to be using a created service package. And it's as simple as just hitting OK here. It'll build it. It'll even pop the window open where the package exists. And there we have it. So these two files are what you would need for this process. Now what I've done is I have another virtual machine that has these, and I'm going to simulate the process through change management in Service Manager, as well as distribution of these files, and then of course deployment of these files. So you'll see these files again, and I'm going to go hop over to that VM right now. Back on the Palace VM, but really you could do this from anywhere. I just have everything on one box for demonstration purposes. You can see here I have a couple folders in my Project Publish folder here for Windows Azure, and this is just of my own making for the demonstration. Now in my Hello World folder, it's blank because I want to simulate that's where the final product will go before it's published to Azure. But I do have two versions of that published service package. One is the brand new one, which will have that text that we just saw. I'm new to Azure. And then I have a update to that as part of the demonstration, which has different text on it, and I'll actually show that to you live after the update has occurred. So this should set up the first part of what's going to happen. I've compiled a service package, published that as a service package, and I'm going to use Opalis to move the files from either one of these directories into this directory, and then with Opalis I'll be using the Azure commandlets in PowerShell to publish these to Azure, and then obviously deploy them, and we'll be able to see those step by step. Now this is, as I said, simulating what you would do with your process. These might be on different network shares or different computers, or you have a process where someone, the developer, puts the files in a specific location and then they're downloaded to here. Whatever your process is, this is just going to simulate that I'm going to get the new files from some location and the update files from some other location. Opalis is going to handle the movement of those files to the folder where the publishing will actually occur, and then the commandlets for Azure will pick it up from there. Everything's configurable. This is just an example. Keep that in mind. Now the next thing I'm going to show you is the OIS Workflows and how they interact with Service Manager. So I'm going to pop into OIS, and I have a workflow running that we'll be using for this demonstration, and we're monitoring Service Manager for change requests. And I'm just looking for anything in progress since I'm keeping a controlled environment for this demonstration. You can certainly add more specific filters in here, like check for Azure or something like that, whatever you want to do there. And because I have the ability to do this for demonstration, and you'll have these policies made available to you as well, I also have the workflows that actually create the change requests. So basically, I'm going to for the demonstration, I'm going to kick this off from the operator console and either pass in new, update, or remove. And based on that information, we'll create change request for new request, an update request, or a remove request for the actual app that we're going to be deploying to Azure. Now take a look at what I have here. I have filled out a number of optional fields using a minor change request template, and there's activities associated with that, and I'll show you we deal with that in the other workflow that we showed you. So just for example, I just type text in here. You could do whatever you want, and feel free to change up the examples that I give you. But the important part here is in the title, I'm saying we're either doing a new, an update, or a remove, and other things in the workflows will key off of that. Now I've gone probably a little overboard with the things that I'm doing and putting what the steps are. You don't have to do any of this, but I just wanted to fill out the ticket and show you that you can fill out tickets very easily in OIS for Service Manager. And then for ID, this is going to be a dynamic number generated at the Service Manager level, and I'm going to put CR in front of it. If you don't put CR in front of it, it'll just be a number. It's not a big deal. It's just I wanted to keep everything consistent there. And there you have it. Each one of these objects is very similar, except, as I said, the title is different. You can see that says update there. And then the title for this one will say remove. And I'll show you where that is used. These other objects here are just to assign that change request to the administrator. So we get the administrator, then we create the association between that change request and the administrator. If you use the integration pack for Service Manager at all, you're familiar with these things, but these may be new concepts for you, and they'll be available in the examples if you have any questions and you want to take a look at it. Now, let's take a look at where we're parsing that title. Now, for the monitor for CRs, that's going to take anything in a in progress status, and based on the title, whether it starts with new, update, or remove, it'll go down one of these paths. And these paths determine what's going to happen. So the first thing, for a new deployment, we're going to trigger a file copy, which, as I described before, is going to copy things from one folder to the other using OIS. And that workflow is right here. Very simplistic. And again, we're parsing based on new or update. And I'm going to copy the deployment file and the config file. You could do this many different ways. I chose to do them separately just so we can see that we are copying both. And the new deployment, and I've used variables for everything, so you'll have those available to you as well. So you could just plug in your values for those variables and you'll be on your way. To recap on that, this policy here, if we're doing the new, we're going to copy from this new folder into the hello world. If it's an update, we're going to copy from update to hello world, and it will overwrite based on if it's already there. And obviously, once we do the update, it'll overwrite the new. All right, enough on that. We'll go back. Once that file copy is finished, you can see that file copy exists for new and update. It will go on to the Azure deployment, and this will trigger this first policy here. And we'll be passing in a bunch of different things. And I've used variables for all these things, so you could plug in your specific information. Azure Deployment Service Name, Azure Subscription ID, that's specific to me. The config files, where they exist, where you should expect them. Your certification thumbprint, actual deployment package as opposed to just config file. The service name as opposed to just the storage service name. And then of course the deployment label, which this is where we can get a little more custom and you could change this up. But I am, for this demonstration, going to put the CR, so it'll be like CR 105 underscore system center underscore deployed underscore hello world underscore Azure underscore app underscore v1, and this is for the new one. When we do the update, this will have a v2, and we'll be able to see that in the management portal for Azure. All of this information is being passed into a policy, a very simplistic policy, which is here, using the custom start. And it's passed into, and this may look like I did a lot of work creating an integration pack for Azure, but I didn't. This is just an icon I put together for the demonstration only. And this is actually a run program object with an alternate icon, no big deal there. And what I've done is made a variable out of most everything, and if not a variable, it was a published data. So what's the server name I'm going to execute it on? The initiation of the PowerShell command is first, and then we do a bunch of, I call a PS1 script, which is embedded in the variable there, and then it's a PS1 script that takes parameters. So service name, that's all of the items that are coming from custom start get entered here, and I put quotes where necessary, and it really works out really well. And I also can control, because it's a PS1 script, the output. So based on that output, I'm parsing the output, and I want the URL, because I want to put the URL for the Azure app into the ticket. So I'm parsing for HTTP. If it's there, then it's successful. If not, don't move on. And then I'll be publishing that URL back up to the master policy. You can see that I am passing it up through here. You can see I even put another level of error checking in here. If for whatever reason this URL field is null, we will not continue. Now I didn't send a notification on that, but I could. This is just for demonstration. What I'm doing here is delaying 30 seconds because I want to make sure the Azure application is up and ready before I try to start it. So I initiate another workflow, pass in some other things, including the deployment status, which is running for this, because it's stopped when you just deploy it, and then we need to start it running. Plus I wanted to show some further. You could have done this all in one PS1 script, but I wanted to break it out for you. So if we go to this, we can see that update Azure deployment status still takes in custom start parameters, and the update Azure status object is simply a run program that executes PowerShell, passes in a PS1 script that takes parameters. Very simple. And the PS1 scripts are very simple. I kept everything very simple. Now this, I'm not publishing anything back, so because for demonstration purposes, it wasn't necessary. So if we go back, we can see once it's started, it updates the implementation results for the change request. It says it's successfully implemented, because at that point it would be. Obviously you can add your own error checking. And I put in here that it's complete and with the URL. So we'll be able to pull the URL from the ticket and then go take a look at the application. From there, I go ahead and mark the activities complete by getting the activities related to that CR. And then I mark them complete, passing to the notes the post-implementation review text, so everything's consistent for all the activities. Now this same exact process is performed for the update and the remove, where we're triggering some PS1 scripts. After we copy the files for update, we trigger PS1 scripts, we update the change record, update the activities, mark everything complete, and then for the remove, first we suspend the running instance in Azure, and then we're going to delay 180 seconds because it takes a little time for it to stop, and then we're going to remove it using a PS1 script. And I'm going to include all of these in a Codeplex release, And then of course we do the same update of the change request and the activities. All of this is for demonstration. I'm trying to reiterate that so you don't think this is the way that this should be done. This is for demonstration purposes. In fact, this might be great if you need to demonstrate something like this, because it's it starts over, because you could do a new one, you could update it, you could remove it, and you could start all over again. So if you need to demonstrate this, you can import this policy, get it running in your system, and then you're off to the races. To show you the other two workflows, this is the Update Azure Deployment Package. It's going to look very familiar because it's just PowerShell being executed, passing a PS1 script, and then using parameters. And then for the remove, same exact thing, just different icons, which are completely unnecessary. Alright, I think we've covered all the workflows. I do not have any change requests yet in the system. I have some old ones, but I filtered those out. But we'll be able to see that in a moment once I start the actual demonstration. Alright, we have this running, so why don't we get started? And that's as simple as going into the Ops console. And I'm going to just search for Azure. I don't have to dig around. Create change request. And here, I'll just be able to start. Type in new. And we'll be able to kick this entire thing off. We'll be able to see change requests. We'll be able to see the Azure app get deployed. And we'll be able to see what's in that Azure app from the code. And we'll go from there. Alright, we're going to go ahead and start this off. And what this is going to do, as I talked about previously, it's going to go ahead and create a CR for the new request. So put something up there brand new on Azure, and it's going to assign it to an administrator, and then it'll move on. So we can hop over to Service Manager, hit refresh, and we should see an item in here. There it is. It's in new status. And because of some template workflows that are running in the background for Service Manager, this will change to in progress. There it is. And then that will be picked up by Opalis anytime now. I wanted to show you that those objects I used to create the CR passed all the information in. This is template stuff, so you can change your templates and whatnot, but this is just demonstration purposes. I just left everything the same for the minor change request. And soon in the results we'll get something here. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel that, and Opalis will be picking that up soon. So let's go hop over to Opalis. And it currently says it has copied the files and it's in the process of deploying those. So let's go to the management portal, and we're going to have to wait for this guy to refresh, but in the next 13 seconds or so we should see a new app over here with the CR that has been created, and we'll go verify that. I forgot to look at the CR. And there we see the CR 105, System Center deployed Hello World Azure app. If we move this over, there's the V1. It's in staging as the PowerShell script described, and we have it in stop state. And then the next couple refreshes, it should start up based on the workflow. And you can see that it's initializing and starting up. I'm going to move these fields over a little bit. And it is creating this Azure app based on the deployment of that package using the PowerShell. Now, I actually didn't take a dive into the PowerShell. Let's go do that now. So I have a couple PowerShell, and I'll even include a couple other ones that I have baked into the major portions here. But let's open this Deploy Azure package. You'll see how easy it is. Now, there are prerequisites for these commandlets, but all of that is well documented. Alright, so you can see we're taking in the parameters. I'm doing a get item for the certificate, but passing in the certificate thumb, which will be unique to you. I'm adding the snap-in for Azure Management Tools, and then simply creating a new deployment, passing in those parameters as needed. There's that staging I talked about. And then, of course, I'm waiting for it to complete to move on. And then I'm passing the URL here, or I'm getting the URL from the deployment and passing that on and getting the URI so I could put it in the ticket. So let's take a look and go see if we can see that ticket in Service Manager. We'll hit refresh. It says it's completed, so let's open it up. And we'll go into results, and here we have it, successfully implemented, and here's the URL. And if we go back and check on this, we should see this almost finished, and it's ready. Excellent. So we can go ahead and paste our URL and hopefully see our Hello World app. There it is. Hello World. This is my first time with Azure, so here's some links. And obviously everything is live, and if we click on the link, it'll go to the blog. Nothing special there. But if we want to, I'll quickly hop over, and you can see that's exactly the text that was there. So we took it from the code, created a service package, copied that service package, used PowerShell to upload it, and it then became this web app that's up there. Now, it's nothing special, but it doesn't matter what that service package is, you can still deploy it using the same method. And because I've made everything variables, you can just change the names and paths and you're good to go. Or you could just use this as a demonstration or example. So since this is ready, and you can see CR 105, and if we go to Service Manager, it was CR 105, and obviously all of this was linked together. I didn't have anything up my sleeve there. So we have a new. Let's run through the updated. So I'm going to go to Operator Console, click on Create Change Request, Start. I'm going to do Update. It's going to create a new change request, and then Opalis will pick it up because it'll be in progress soon. Let's see if we could catch it. There it is. It's in new, and in a couple seconds, because of those same template rules, this will change into in progress. And there it's in progress. And once again, update. That's what the workflows are reading for. There's some planning stuff in there, activities as a result of the template. And then we will have results here in just a little while once everything's completed. So let's go back to the Opalis machine and check on that workflow. You can see it's down here. It's copied the new files. So obviously I didn't show you the difference between the files. There's not much difference other than the text, but you will be able to see the difference because this is the old app, and when we refresh this, once it's done, it'll have new text that will be obviously different, rest assured. If we watch the Operator Console, you can see it has completed the actual updating the CR and stuff like that, but the actual updates, you can see that it's updating right now, and in a couple minutes we'll be able to, once that says ready, we'll be able to go refresh that. So let's go into Service Manager while we're waiting, refresh this. You can see it's updated. We could take a look at the results, and update has been complete, and it's the same URL, but I'm still passing it within the workflows in Opalis. And if we want to take a look at the PowerShell behind that, I could open that up. That was the update. Very similar, nothing surprising here. We got parameters. We're doing the same thing for the certification. This time we're deploying the update. And if we scroll to the end here, it's just setting the deployment based on an existing deployment. And I still wanted to get that URL, so I used the same methodology, grabbing the URI. And of course, that came back. Let's check on the portal. Got 3 seconds. Hopefully it'll be done. And we're finished. It's up there. And that's good. You can see that CR 110. If we go back to Service Manager, we can see CR 110. And looks like it's finished, so let's go take and refresh. And there we go. Opalis rocks Azure. So now I have Azure hosting my Opalis links. Enjoy. I'm sure you enjoyed that. So, same links. I mean, I didn't change the code that drastically, but you can see that we deployed an update. And if we go back to the management portal, I believe, and go to properties, there it is. upgrade deployment was the last operation, and it was successful. So, alrighty. Now, there's just one thing left to do, and let's just fast forward in time. We don't need this extremely complex Azure app anymore, and maybe we want to decommission it. So, it's as simple as using the workflows that we already have. And we're just going to go into the operator console. I know this is very short-lived, but that's all right. You can always bring it up again automatically. I'm going to click Start. This time, I'm going to do Remove. And what this is going to do is going to create a change request for the removal, auto-approve it and all that because of the process, but you can build your own process. I just wanted to do something quick for the demonstration. And in Service Manager, we should have a new remove. There it is. And it's a new status, but will be in progress very soon. If we take a look at it, it doesn't really matter what status it is. Deployment is no longer needed. These are just things I baked into the workflows that you can change as needed. Planning, there's a implementation plan, automated CR approval and removal via Opalis, and then the activities is going to go through there, and results, we're going to have results in there that it was removed very soon. So let's go back and look at the Opalis. Need to go to the right one. It looks like it's running, and it's at the delay of 180 seconds. So with the magic of video, I'm going to take out a lot of this time, and we'll come back to it at, let's see, the portal screen. And you can see actually before it's in the process of suspending, and then you can see we don't update the status or the name, so the CR didn't change, but it is stopping that. We will see that CR, this exact name, in the results later, but it is currently stopping. And then after 180 seconds, I'm almost talking through that entire time, this will be gone and we won't see it here anymore, but we'll have the change request saying that it was done, all the while keeping track of our process. And since I'm still talking, why don't we go ahead and dive into the removal script. Very simple. There's the parameters. Same thing with the cert. I am, instead of getting the URL or the URI for the app because it'll be gone, you'll see here that I am getting the label and then creating some output here, removal of the label, and then whether it was successful or not. So that will be in the change request once it's finished. And the other PowerShell that I have here is the set deployment status. So this either sets it to running or suspended, and that's just simple stuff. All this will be included. And then I will include the get stuff, which is just get deployment information, either URI or the label is for your enjoyment. So let's see here. Let's go back to the Azure. Maybe I talked long enough. Oh, it stopped now, so we're still in that 180 second waiting period, and we'll come back here once it's finished. Alright, it's finished. You can see that the application is gone. If we go to the operator console and refresh, you can see, if I move it up here, that we've gone through all the steps. And let's go over to the Hello World app. We should get an error because it is gone. So sad. Yep, it is gone. And let's see, go to Service Manager, hit refresh here. Lots of stuff to go and click on and refresh. It's the best part of automation. You don't have to do any of the deep down clicking there, but you have to take a look at all the interfaces. So we're going to open up the removal, go to results, and you can see here successfully implemented, meaning the change was successfully implemented, and the removal of, there's that CR10 v2 has succeeded. Now whatever name that would be entered into here because that was dynamically entered on the Opalis data bus. So there you have it. We have 3 change requests, 110, 115, and 105, and they were for new, update, and remove, where we showed the creation down this path, the update, and the removal as we ended there. I showed you the PowerShell. I showed you the workflows. I'm going to export these and clean them up, and so you'll be able to maybe implement this in your environment, your test environment, and get going playing with Azure and System Center. I certainly hope you've enjoyed this demonstration. I had a lot of fun working and playing with the Azure stuff. I'm going to see what I can do next. I have some other programs in beta programs in Azure that I want to play with, and we'll see where we can go. But I figured automated cloud application deployment might have been up one of those alleys that you're looking into with Azure. So good luck and enjoy. We certainly appreciate you watching. Thank you.